Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over what to buy and what to avoid this week in Grand Theft Auto Online, and we have a pretty good week on our hands. Before we get into the video, if you end up enjoying this or learning something, consider dropping a like and subscribing if you guys are new. It helps me out a lot. Let's go ahead and get started with the weekly challenge this week, which is to complete 3 FIB files to receive a bonus $100,000. And that is actually a really good weekly challenge because those FIB files are also on bonus money this week, and they're going to be one of the better ways to earn as well. Now, in addition to this weekly challenge bonus, we do have some stuff carrying over from last week. That is the $500,000 login bonus. Now, this is not a new version of this bonus. Like, if you logged in last week and got the 500K, you're not going to be able to log in this week and get an additional $500,000. The same goes for the next bonus, which is $1 million for completing a heist. That does not stack this week again. If you got that last week, it's over. You already got it. And for mansion owners, if you log in this week, last week, or all the way till July 13th, you receive a special collection of gifts ahead of the Courts Center Heist DLC, so that's pretty cool. Now, as far as bonus money goes, we have 4 times money on the FIB priority file this week through the Garment Factory. So I'll show you guys this right here, right now. The priority file is paying $1,224,000 for the fine art file this week. Now, this is only available one time for the week, but as you guys can see, we also have double money and double RP on all of the other files as well. So Project Breakaway, Brute Force, and the Black Box file, all paying over $300,000 for completion. So that's going to be a really good way to make money because most of these take about 30 minutes. So they're not bad, that's for sure. But the fine art file is especially good this week because obviously $1,224,000 is really good. And if it's your first time completing it, there's some completion bonuses for doing it for the first time as well. I believe it's about $150,000 extra. So that is super sweet. This is definitely something you guys have got to take advantage of this week if you own a Garment Factory in GTA Online. Now, in addition to this, we also have double money and double RP on Acid Lab sale missions. So the Acid Lab usually sells for about $350,000. This week, it's going to be selling for about $700,000, and that's not including a high demand bonus either, by the way. So it's going to be over $1 million if you sell in a high demand bonus session, whether that's a crew session like the ones that my crew hosts through our Discord server, or in a public lobby with just random players where you might lose your sale if you get blown up. So Acid Lab being on double money is really, really good. And in addition, with the mansion production boost as well, this is going to be a sick way to make money. So of course I'm going to do a weekly money video tomorrow going over this exact thing, and you guys will be able to learn how to make a ton of money this week in GTA Online. But anyways, we have a couple more things on bonus money as well. One of those being Fooligan jobs, which you're going to need to complete 10 of in order to get the equipment upgrade in your Acid Lab, which you're going to need to do. I mean, if you want to make money, you're going to need to have the equipment upgrade in the Acid Lab available. Additionally, we also have double money and double RP on all of the special vehicle races in GTA Online, so like the Rocket Voltic ones, Ruiner 2000 ones, everything like that. These are pretty fun, not the best things ever, but they are pretty fun. And we also have the Community Combat series on double money and double RP as well, so this is pretty cool too. So that's gonna do it for bonus money this week, guys, but we have some pretty crazy discounts going on this week as well. We have a free upgrade for the Brigade 6x6 into the Acid Lab, so that's gonna be free this week. That is a huge money savings right there because that normally costs $750,000. For a property discount this week, we have the Garment Factory 40% off. So you should probably consider buying this because, I mean, this week you can easily pay it off by just doing a couple of the files for sure. So I think it's worth it to buy a Garment Factory this week. In fact, I do recommend it. As you guys can see here, even on Warstock Cash and Carry, the Brigade 6x6 is completely free. So gotta make sure you have a Brigade 6x6. Now, something to note is that for some of you who haven't completed the first dose missions, which is how you get the Acid Lab in the Brigade 6x6, this is going to be available for you to purchase. However, until you complete those missions, you will not be able to put the Acid Lab inside it. So effectively what I'm saying is there's no point in purchasing it on the website, particularly if it costs money, because you will not even be able to use the Acid Lab, and you're going to have to do the first dose missions in the first place to be able to put the acid lab in it, and that's also going to save you the difference in cost because you will get the Brigade 6x6 for free at the end of those missions. So whatever you do, do not buy a Brigade 6x6 on Warstock if it actually costs money here. Like, if it does not say $0 here, it is going to cost you money and you're going to get no benefit from it because you're still going to have to jump through all the hoops in order to get the acid lab anyway. So don't buy it on Warstock. Just get it at the end of the first dose missions. I'll just go ahead and plug it here as well. I do have an acid lab guide linked in the description of this video as well. So if you guys are interested in finding out how the acid lab works and all that, that is there. So go check it out. Starting off with vehicle discounts, we have the Dubachi Spectre 30% off this week. This thing is an awesome Benny's customizable vehicle. Even without the Benny's customization on it though, it is a really good looking car. For only $420,000, I think this is a no-brainer to pick up. I think pretty much everybody should buy this vehicle. It's a fun little sports car for driving around, but at the end of the day, if you're not after something that's just average performance-wise, you could skip out on the Spectre. You do not need to have it by any means. And with the new DLC coming out, if you're lower on money, you may want to consider not purchasing it because obviously there's going to be some new vehicles coming out that are probably going to be even better than the Spectre and even better than some of the top vehicles in the game right now. So depending on how much money you have, you may want to buy the Spectre or not. You're not really losing out on not owning it, but it is a pretty fun car to drive around in free mode, so if you're interested, consider purchasing it. Moving over to Legendary Motorsport, we have the Annis Euros X32 on discount, 30% off, going for $1,050,000. Now this thing does have an HSW upgrade available for it. However, the HSW upgrade is quite expensive, about $1.4 million if I remember correctly, and it doesn't really get much benefit from that HSW upgrade. And for a car that's going to cost you $2.4 million just for the initial HSW upgrade and the purchase price, it's not necessarily the greatest car, and you're not really going to get much of a payback in terms of the, performance. It's not that crazy or anything like that. With HSW, it has a top speed of about 130 miles an hour, which is not that quick, especially compared to something like the Banshee GTS or Vapid FMJ Mark V or any of these other cars. Now, if you like the Euros X32, you might want to consider purchasing one this week. It's not the greatest car ever, but it's not the worst car ever either. Customization wise, it's a little bit disappointing in my opinion, especially for a 300ZX. I feel like it could have had more stuff to be done to it. But again, if you want one, now is going to be a good time to purchase it. And if you're going to purchase one and you have HSW available, you may want to consider doing it just to get the extra performance out of it. But again, it really depends on how much money you have. And if you want some of the new stuff that comes out with this next DLC, you may want to skip out on some of those upgrades like HSW, or you may want to skip out on the car itself. Scrolling further down, we have the Pfister Comet S2 Cabrio for $1,260,000. It does have a missile lock-on jammer available for it, and it's got pretty much the exact same customization options as the regular Pfister Comet S2. However, what I will say about the S2 Cabrio is that for some reason, it actually has slightly better handling than the S2 itself. The S2 is one of the most disappointing cars in the entire game in my opinion, because it should be really good, and luckily the S2 Cabrio actually is fairly good. It's kind of what the S2 should have been in my opinion, because the back end doesn't just randomly slide out on you at all times. The biggest gripe I have with the S2 Cabrio is obviously it's a soft top convertible, not the greatest look ever, but with the roof down it does look pretty decent, I would say. Overall, I don't really feel like it's worth the $1.26 million. I think that is quite expensive, but if it's a car you've been after or been waiting for it to go on discount, you should probably purchase it this week. But again, just be advised about that DLC coming out. Scrolling even further down, we have the Pegassi Zaruso for $1,350,000. This thing also has the missile lock-on jammer available for it. Formerly, this is one of the best non-HSW supercars in GTA Online. However, it is extremely ugly, to be completely honest, guys. Now, that might just be my personal preference, but just with the wheels so sunken into the body lines of the vehicle, and the fact that there's not a lot in the way of customization, Plus, I just think the car is just kind of ugly. It's got a huge nose. I don't really think it's the best car ever, especially in today's world where we have HSW. But even if you play on a platform without HSW, the Zaruso is still not fast enough to justify this price tag. There are sports cars that are way better and way faster than the Zaruso. I personally feel like it's not worth it, so I would advise most people to avoid purchasing the Zaruso this week. Scrolling further down, we have the Dinka Classic and the Vapid Flash GT. Both of these cars have engine resistance, meaning that their acceleration is slightly stunted from a regular vehicle in comparison. Now, they have done some work to kind of remedy this issue, and on the Jester and the Flash, it is slightly better than it used to be. However, these are still pretty slow cars after all is said and done. The Dinka Jester Classic is a really cool car, and it's only $550,000. If you like the original Toyota Mark V Supra, if you like the Mark IV Toyota Supra, this is a car that you're probably going to want to purchase. And while it's 30% off, I think you probably should. Again, if it's something you're interested in. So for $553,000, kind of don't think you can go too wrong with it. I would recommend purchasing it if you're interested. However, for the Vapid Flash GT, it's just so expensive. Almost $1.2 million for a car that is not that great. And unfortunately, the customization on this thing is pretty lacking as well. Now, it's a cool looking car to begin with. I don't mind the driving experience of it personally, but the engine resistance is pretty easy to notice on this car, largely due to the fact that it's all-wheel drive, because you cannot double clutch, as it's known in the GTA community, with an all-wheel drive car, meaning that you can't kind of make up for that engine resistance in any way, shape, or form. The acceleration at low RPM on this thing is also extremely stunted. It's very, very slow. Overall, I feel like the Flash GT just simply is not worth this much money, even on discount. If you've wanted one for a very long time, I would strongly urge you to still probably not buy one. But at the end of the day, if you do really, really want one, I mean, now is going to be the best time to get it. I just don't think you should. Over on Warstock Cash and Carry, we still have the Benefactor Turreted Limo for free this week, just so everyone is aware. Over on Warstock Cash and Carry, we do still have the Benefactor Turreted Limo free from last week, so you should get this while it's free. And scrolling all the way to the very bottom, we have the HVY Dump for $700,000. This is a Pegasus vehicle. You have to call Pegasus in order to get it, and I don't really recommend it. I mean, 700 grand for this thing is just, it's not really worth it in any way, shape, or form. Even for the meme, it's really not that great. If you honestly really want a dump, I mean, just go to the quarry and you can get one. I know it's kind of inconvenient if you want it like in Los Santos or something like that, but honestly, it's just not worth the $700,000, so I would avoid this one for sure. Over on Southern, we have the Annis Remus discounted for 30% off this week. If you have the trade price for this vehicle, I feel like it's honestly not an unfair price. $720,000, I would say, is worth it. This car has some great customization. It was released with the Los Santos Tuners DLC. It has drift tuning available for it, which is sweet, a missile lock-on chamber, and it's got special liveries as well, which is pretty sweet. The Remus is a really good car. I honestly do recommend this one, especially if you're into drifting or JDM cars. If not, you can definitely skip it, but for those of you that are interested in those two things, I would recommend picking up a Remus this week. Scrolling a little further down, we have the Declasse Hot Ring Sabre discounted this week for 30% off, going for $435,000 if you have the trade price, or $581,000. Now, unfortunately, this is not the best Hot Ring racer anymore. That title goes to the Gauntlet Hot Ring Hellfire. So I would advise you to get that thing, especially if you plan to ever race with it, which I don't know what else you would honestly be doing with a Hot Ring car. So for that reason alone, I just don't recommend the Hot Ring Sabre. It's just going to get walked around circuits, so there's really no point in owning one, in my opinion at least. If it was still really fast or anything like that, it would maybe be worth getting. And if it had any customization, it would also maybe be worth getting, but unfortunately it has neither, so I would avoid the Sabre entirely. We also have the Karen Everon discounted this week. Now, if you like big off-road trucks, you may want to consider purchasing this thing. It is one of the coolest off-road vehicles in the game. However, something to note with it is that due to the high center of gravity, this thing is extremely likely to tip over while you're off-roading, especially at high speed, but even on pavement it can tip over as well, so do be aware of that. Customization-wise, it's got some decent stuff you can do to it, but at the end of the day, it is really expensive. I would definitely try to get the trade price. if you guys are interested in purchasing it this week. I feel like for $1,030,000, it's not really super worth it, especially when the Canis Camacho exists for $345,000 and will basically do everything this thing does, just a lot better. Very cool vehicle. I'm a big fan of the Everon, but it is really expensive for what you're getting, so be aware of that before purchasing one. For most players, I would say to avoid it. Within the casino this week, we have the Invitero Coquette D10 available to be won. It's a $1,510,000 car. I would advise you to come here and try to win it for sure. Within the LS car meet, we have the Obey iWagon available to be won, and in order to win it, you're going to have to place top 5 for 4 days in a row. Now, the iWagon is a horrible vehicle, so if you were ever going to get one, this is probably going to be your best bet so that you don't have to waste your hard-earned money on it, because again, it is a terrible vehicle. Top 5 for 4 days in a row. If you're interested, I mean, go for it for sure, but if you don't win it, it's really not the end of the world, trust me. Within the LS car meet, we have the Dinka Jester for $240,000, the Benefactor XLS for $253,000, and the Declassy Tulip going for $718,000. Tulip is a fantastic looking car, great looking, decent to drive until you get close to the top speed. That's where the advanced handling flags come in and start feeling like you're getting crazy crosswinds coming at you when you're on the road, and the car will just start sort of drifting by itself side to side. It's manageable, especially if you're on controller, but on PC it is a lot harder to manage. Really cool car, great customization. I honestly recommend it, even though it is kind of a weird vehicle, but for most players, I mean, you definitely don't need to buy it for sure. The XLS, really cool SUV, nothing in the way of customization. If you want it for $250K, I mean, I don't really feel like you can go wrong with it because it's fairly cheap, but the Dinka Jester out of the 3 is definitely the one to go for in my opinion. For $240,000, you're getting a fantastic sports car with some great customization and good looks. It's the one out of the 3 if you had to buy one. We also have the Maibatsu Monstrosity for the HSW test ride this week, and it is going to cost you $2,859,000. I would just make my own personally, so I would avoid buying that. Within Simeon's, we have the Declassy Tornado Rat Rod, which is way too much money, $378,000 if I am not mistaken. Yeah, that's correct. Not a very good vehicle. I would avoid it personally. We also have the Pegassi Escape in here for $286,000. Kind of a crazy amount of money. It is a cool bike though. We have the Vapid Blade for $160,000. I would recommend purchasing this one for sure. The Weenie Dynasty, I don't recommend. It's a terrible vehicle, but it is kind of unique, I guess. $475,000 for this one, and of course the Enos Stafford as well for almost $1.3 million. I do not feel like that is worth it at all, so I would avoid that one definitely. For the salvage yard robberies this week, we have the Lamp Daddy Tagon for completing the McTony robbery. The Podium robbery will get you the Invitero Coquette Blackfin, and the Gangbanger robbery will get you the Vapid Click. None of them are claimable, so do with that information what you will. Within luxury autos, we have the Karen Everon RS, and we have the Declassy Walton L35 stock. You can get both on the websites, so just get them there, I would say. And the gun van location, the day this video is coming out, is down here at the Los Santos docks, and we have inside of it the battle rifle, discounted by 50% off. If you did ever want a battle rifle, now is definitely going to be a good time to purchase it. It was always an overpriced weapon, but for 50% off, it's not as terrible. We also have the stun gun. This is going to be 30% off for GTA Plus members. The combat shotgun's available, the minigun, the pump shotgun, and the baseball bat as well. For throwables, we got grenades, pipe bombs, and stickies, and for body armor, we have it 10% off. The RC Bandito time trial today is Cypress Flats. The Junk Energy time trial is Mirror Park. Your regular time trial is Elysian Island 2, and your HSW time trial is Pacific Bluffs to Mount Gordeau. So it's going to start right here, and it's going to go all the way across the map and end up right here at the lighthouse. There you have it, guys. That has been it for what to buy and what to avoid this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. Of course, I will have the weekly money guide coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, consider dropping a like and subscribing if you guys are new. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.